Today we are making a vegan grinder. That's right, I'm casually late to the party, but this was my first time making a deli-style sandwich at home, and it won't be my last, as this thing was super dang good. It's definitely going to be a staple at my house, especially for a quick and easy lunch or dinner. And now this is going to be less of a specific recipe and more just me trying out a whole bunch of stuff to see what makes the best sandwich experience, and a hat tip to Ethan Shelbowski and his Sandwich Secrets video, which definitely helped me out. I'll link to that in the description. So first, let's tackle the vegan deli meats. I tried a whole bunch, and I gotta tell you, some of these are awful, but the good news is some of them are quite amazing. Also, it's worth noting that most of these aren't super great on their own, but do quite well in the context of a sandwich. And I do like just about every one of the tofurkey deli meats. The ham and the bologna ones are probably my least favorite, but the other ones I can totally recommend. The turkey and the hickory smoked are probably my top choices. I also tried these Unreal slices, and I wish I liked them better, but they're kind of dry, and they do okay on a sandwich for sure. It's just not my first choice. And these field roast pepperonis, not the greatest either, not totally inedible, but they have a lot of room for improvement. The Yeeves or Yeevies, I don't know how to pronounce it. These are okay. I know a lot of people hate them. They can be a bit rubbery, but I did like the salami, especially in a sandwich. And these Simple Truth slices, which is the Kroger brand, are just okay, not great, not awful. Light Life, as per usual, not very good. The turkey did actually taste a lot like turkey, but it was also dry as heck, which I guess is accurate to real turkey, so well played, Light Life. These slices by Mayo were unfortunately the worst thing I tried, just completely inedible, which is a shame as I'd love to have a good vegan prosciutto, but hey, what are you gonna do? And now the winner by far was these slices and pepperonis by the Beehive. Super flavorful and not dry at all, and the slices are nice and thin. I got these at Bessie's here in Los Angeles, so check them out, or you can buy directly from the Beehive, link in the description. So overall for the meat, I recommend tofurkey or the Beehive, but the Yeeves is fine in a pinch too. And now for the cheese, I'm just going to use some Follow Your Heart provolone, but Chow would work, or Vio Life. Really any cheese that you like should be fine. Now for the bread, I just got a deli roll from the grocery store, but you just want to make sure you get something that isn't too soft or too tough. I wouldn't recommend a baguette or a sourdough roll, but a soft French or Italian roll should be just fine. Something with a bit of a chew that won't get too soggy is ideal. For condiments, I recommend sticking to the classics, mustard, mayo, but this hoagie spread is an excellent choice as well. Some Calabrian chilies are also a great addition. You can find these kinds of things at your local Italian market, but Trader Joe's also has a good spread too. And now when I used to go to Subway, I would always put some potato chips on my sandwich. It just adds a nice, salty, crunchy texture that contrasts well with the rest of the fillings. Some fried jalapeno or crispy fried onions can do the trick too. So if you like a little textural variety, try throwing some chips in there. And then for the veggies, I think you can't go wrong with some tomato, iceberg lettuce, and onion. And since we are doing that TikTok grinder sandwich thing, I'll be making a dressing for the lettuce. And I gotta say, I can understand why everybody lost their minds for this, as the dressing is super dang good and you can even eat it like a dip. Now obviously make this to taste, but for mine I got 1 cup of vegan mayo. I ended up going with about 1 tablespoon of red wine vinegar, though I think I did add a bit more at the end. And then a teaspoon of Italian seasoning, 1 tablespoon chopped chives, 3 cloves of minced garlic, red pepper flakes, salt and pepper, and then I'm going to get some of these hot cherry peppers and I'm going to dice them up, and I added in about 2 or 3 tablespoons worth, I'd say, and those really elevated that dressing and added a spicy, acidic kick in the pants. And like I said, this stuff was probably the best thing on the entire sandwich, so definitely give it a try. And now for the onions, you want to slice them thin, either with a knife or a mandolin, but either way I suggest slicing them pole to pole or slicing with the grain instead of against the grain. This will result in a mellower tasting onion. In fact, I saw a lot of videos where people soak their onions for 10 to 15 minutes to mellow them out, so I did a test and soaked some onions. I also tested out salting my tomatoes to draw out the moisture, and for the onions I found that soaking them, if they were cut pole to pole, actually made them taste like nothing. So don't bother soaking them, just cut them with the grain and you should be good. And the tomatoes were slightly less wet and tasted really good, but I don't know how much of a difference it will make in the context of this sandwich. So for both these steps, I'd say skip it. And now that our lettuce and onions are prepped, I thought it'd be a good time to note that you can totally prep a bunch of this stuff and then have it at the ready to throw together a sandwich whenever you want. I suggest keeping the dressing and the lettuce separate while stored so that the lettuce doesn't get soggy. Plus, you can use the dressing as a spread on its own. So to make the grinder salad, we're just going to throw in some of that lettuce, some red onions, and then some pepperoncinis. And I'm just eyeballing this stuff. Just do what your gut tells you. But then we're going to spoon in some of that magical dressing. We're going to mix that up, taste and adjust. So I'm going to add some black pepper, red pepper, and then some of this vegan Parmesan. I like the powdery stuff, so sue me. And we're going to mix that up and give it a taste until it's perfect. And now we just got to put our sandwich together. So I'm going to split my roll. I'm going to add some mustard and some of that hoagie spread. And then next we're going to lay down our meats. And as people have commented, make sure you don't just lay them flat. Try to fold them over themselves like so, which is admittedly tougher with some of these deli meats that are sliced a little too thick, but the beehive stuff worked like a charm. We're also going to throw on some pepperonis as well, and then our cheese, and you can melt this in the oven or with a torch, but for me personally, I'm not super stoked on the hot meat and cheese with the cold veggies. I was never a fan, so I'm not toasting it, but you go on ahead if you wanna. And then next, if you like some texture, some chips are good, plenty of our grinder salad on top of that, some tomatoes, season your tomatoes as you do, and then let's try to fold this thing together. And something I didn't see anybody do, which I think is an important step, is wrap this thing up. I always wrap my burgers so they don't fall apart, and this sandwich is no different. Plus, wrapping will compact the sandwich and get everything to mosh together in a glorious way. And then after it's wrapped, I like to let it just hang out for about 10 minutes, and then we're gonna go ahead and cut it in half. And to be honest, this sandwich was super good, but it was just a bit too much bread, and it could have used a bit more sauce. Don't get me wrong, I ate the whole thing in like 5 minutes, but it could have been improved. So the next day I made another one, but this time I scooped out some of the bread and I added a bit of that dressing in the middle of the sandwich, and that was perfect. And then the next day I was even more aggressive with the scooping, and this is what that looked like. Honestly, I just wanted to eat another one of these. In fact, it's all I've been eating this past week. I'm not even close to mad about it, but I really do think you all should prep some veggies and dressing and whip up one of these amazing sandwiches whenever you want. And if you want to make another amazing sandwich, check out my recipe for a vegan Italian beef right here. And until then, I'll see you all next time.